There is so much information out there on weight loss, on fat loss, the best ways to do it, the fastest ways to do it. And I spent a long time going down all these rabbit holes to try and achieve fat loss. And so in this video, I'm going to tell you about 5 fat loss mistakes that I made that did not give me the results that I wanted. The first mistake was focusing on cardio for fat loss. Now, don't get me wrong, cardio is something I definitely suggest doing for your overall health. It is amazing for you. But when it comes to fat loss, it's not very effective. There's a couple of reasons for this. Firstly, it's really hard work and you have to do a lot of cardio to burn what is a relatively small amount of calories, and an amount of calories that you could eat back incredibly easily. So I think the effort to outcome ratio isn't really worth it. Secondly, cardio really increases your appetite. So when you do that 40-minute run or that half an hour on the rowing machine or whatever it is, it's very likely that you're just going to end up eating back those calories that you burnt off, because it will have really ramped up your hunger levels. So those are the 2 main reasons why, although cardio, yes, is great for you, when it comes to fat loss, it's not something you need to worry about. What I would suggest that you should focus on instead is resistance training and building muscle, because building muscle improves your metabolism, which works for you even when you're resting. Alongside that, the one cardio that I would suggest is walking, because walking is much more sustainable. It's much easier to just slip into your day here and there, and it isn't going to raise those hunger levels. So once I replaced all those hard cardio sessions with resistance training and consistently walking, that's when I really saw some amazing results. On to the second mistake. This is meticulously counting calories and cutting calories too low and not eating enough food. I am not a huge fan of calorie counting, and there's a couple of reasons for this. Firstly, I just think it's a bit obsessive and it's no way to live. I don't want to have to be weighing and tracking every bit of food that I eat. Secondly, the calories you see on packets of food that you buy is actually very inaccurate. If you're eating out, it's even more inaccurate. And calorie counting doesn't account for so many things. The actual quality of the food you're putting in your body and how it's affecting your body, your energy levels, your ability to build muscle, your hormones, which play a massive role as to whether or not you're able to lose fat. So calorie counting, I just think, is really not necessary for fat loss. And then coming on to the second point, which was restricting and cutting down your food too much and not eating enough, is a massive mistake that I think a lot of people make. I made it, and it's no way to achieve weight loss or fat loss, certainly not sustainable, lasting weight loss or fat loss, because you may be able to lose some weight from that approach. But firstly, it's not going to be sustainable and you will end up not being able to stick to that really restrictive diet. But secondly, it's also going to ruin your metabolism. If you eat a really restrictive diet where you're really cutting down how much food you're eating, your metabolism is just going to get slower and slower. And then you end up in this horrible cycle of the less food you eat, the worse your metabolism is, but the worse your metabolism is, the less food you need to eat to continue to lose weight, if that makes sense. That's a horrible spiral that you do not want to get into. So please do not make the mistake of thinking that you can just really restrict the amount of food you're eating and that is going to result in long-term fat loss. It won't. Mistake number 3 is ignoring your insulin and your blood sugar levels. Now, I briefly mentioned before about hormones, and the hormone insulin is super important when it comes to fat loss. And I've mentioned it quite a few times on my channel, so I'm not going to dive too deep into how it works. But essentially, when you control your blood sugar levels and your insulin levels, you are going to control your hunger levels, your energy levels, and you are going to give your body the opportunity to actually tap into your fat storage and start using the stored fat you have as energy rather than just continuing to use the food that you're eating and your body never gets the opportunity to actually use the stored fat that you have for energy. And this is something that I didn't even know about for a long time whilst trying to lose weight. And now that I do, it's a game changer, because once you pay attention to how your food is affecting your blood sugar levels and your insulin, you really notice the effects that the foods you're eating have on your energy and your mood and your hunger levels, which is obviously incredibly important in the process of a weight loss journey, especially when you consider the fact that insulin is actually the hormone that is responsible for storing fat. So if you've got that hormone under control, then fat loss is going to become so much easier. So that's something that I didn't know about for a long time that I now do. And as I said, it's been a game changer for losing/keeping off the weight. Mistake number 4 is not prioritizing my sleep. And again, this is another one that I think a lot of people fall into the trap of. I used to obsess over the diet and the exercise because that's kind of all you hear about online, or when you were doing any kind of research into fat loss, people are just talking about the diet and the exercise. And don't get me wrong, diet and exercise is important. But sleep is something that is really overlooked when it comes to fat loss. Now, for your overall health, sleep is so important, but it's also really important if you're on a fat loss or a weight loss journey. And I'll quickly talk about a few reasons why. Sleep is really important for controlling and balancing your hormones. And so when you don't get enough sleep, firstly, it's going to affect your insulin levels. We just talked about insulin and how important that is. It's also going to affect a hormone called ghrelin, which is a hunger hormone, and a hormone called leptin, which is your satiety hormone. It's your hormone that tells you that you're full. And what it does is it increases ghrelin and it reduces leptin. So that's a pretty bad combo. You've got a combo there of your hunger hormone being increased, and then the hormone that tells you that you're full from your food is decreased. So that's something that's really likely to result in you overeating and eating more food than you actually need. Lack of sleep and not getting enough sleep is also going to reduce your metabolism. It's going to reduce your recovery and your body's ability to build muscle, which is really important because muscle is kind of like a fat burning machine for us. So there's lots of reasons why sleep is really important when it comes to fat loss, and it's something that I now really prioritize. I view sleep as this magical gold dust because it really is. And so that's a mistake that I made that I wouldn't want you to make if you were on a fat loss journey. And finally, mistake number 5 is thinking short term instead of long term. Fat loss and weight loss is not something that you can do overnight, and what you're doing needs to be sustainable. I really talk about this when I'm working with my clients who are trying to lose weight. I always check in on them to make sure that what they're doing and what we are implementing into their lives is something that they can see themselves sticking to for the rest of their lives. And so that's a really good question to ask yourself, and I encourage you to do so. If you are doing something at the moment to lose weight, ask yourself, is this sustainable? Could I do this thing for the rest of my life? If it's a no, then you need to rethink it. You need to try some other things. And here's a worrying statistic. It's about 90% of dieters who lose weight regain that weight. And that really demonstrates the fact that so many of the more extreme diets or diet advice out there isn't working. And that's why I think calorie restriction is an issue, because that's the one that most people try. But as you can see from that statistic, most people are not being able to lose the weight and keep it off, which is the important thing. So keeping your mind on the long term and knowing that the fat loss journey that you are currently on is one that is gonna take time, but if you take the time to do it right, then you will never have to lose that weight again. Whereas what you don't want to make the mistake of doing, and I made this mistake, is yo-yoing, is losing some weight and regaining it, and losing weight and regaining it. That is no way to live. So take the time, do weight loss right, And as I said, you'll never have to lose that weight again. So those are 5 mistakes I made in my fat loss journey, and I made this video to help you avoid making those same mistakes. I really hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please do like the video and do subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like this talking about achieving sustainable fat loss. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.